Yes.
We're good. Everybody's toast.
Toast?
There's some toast here.
Toast.
Bread?
Yeah. No, toast from Mission Impossible. Have you never had the original Mission Impossible?
No, I've never seen it.
What? Just tell me you've seen it.
The TV show or the movie?
No, the first movie with Tom Cruise, not the television show.
Yeah, I'm not really into that franchise.
Jesus.
I've seen it.
That's where the toast comes from.
Did you know that Lewis Hamilton wanted to be in the final one? And,
I'm not surprised by that.
And the scheduling didn't work out. That's how the F1 movie got made. Because the contacts that they had through the Mission Impossible movie, it was like Brad Pitt's always wanted to do a racing movie. It's like, come on then, let's crack on.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I was watching the free practice 1 this afternoon from Montreal. And I guess the press and everybody there saw the movie, I guess last night.
Nice.
But they're not allowed to talk about it.
Oh, there's an embargo?
They're embargoed.
Oh my.
All they can say is it was good. And so I think the announcer said the 17th.
The 17th? It was good until the 17th minute? That doesn't bode well.
I think I'm going to go see it in IMAX the day it opens.
Yeah, I just want to put something in there. We've gone off the rails before we've even started.
That's okay. You know what? I was genuinely thinking about this. And if the true premise of this is, in this case, 3 guys, but a couple of guys just BSing in a bar, that's really how conversations go. Like all of a sudden you'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you this. And then it just goes. So here we go.
You make the rails as you go, so you can never be off the rails.
And for our viewer, that was an and. Welcome back, and how are you?
Thank you. Beautiful day. Can't complain.
No, I like the way it says on your on my screen that you are a forum moderator person.
It says that on mine as well.
Yeah, so for those who don't know who you are in fact a forum moderator person.
Yes. Yeah, that's my preferred title right there.
And you don't hide behind a stupid name like Craig.
So does that mean that we're persona non grata?
I guess. There's nobody's put anything there.
No titles.
But it is good to have you back. We haven't talked to you in a while. What have you been up to?
Yeah, little this, little that. Traveling around. Experienced the Moab Grenadier gathering.
Yes, that was fun.
It was a good time. Stu was out there.
Yep. I was not.
You were not? Well, you were in spirit.
In spirit, yeah.
Yeah. And then FaceTime this week interrupted your F1 race.
All right. So I know nothing about it other than what Stu and I talked about in the last episode, which really comes down to a snarky comment about Defender people. That's really all I got out of that.
And we established that was the intention was new Defender, not old. So
okay. Yeah,
let's give him the get out of jail free card with that.
Okay. So, and what was your take on Moab?
A good time. Beautiful trails, a lot of vehicles, a lot of people. It's good to put faces to the names. I think that's part of events like that, is just to get people together in person. Everybody talks online all the time, but putting them together, seeing each other, experience things that they love together, and see a gorgeous part of the country while you're doing it.
I agree totally in the sense of, the Grenadier and the community that we are part of exists. It has brought people together. The truck is just the means by which we all met each other. But the friendships developed after the fact that we were brought together by something.
I do think one of the funniest things was a gentleman that came up and said hi to you and introduced himself and then wouldn't say what his username was because you guys had gotten into it a few times online.
Yeah, so if you're listening, I'm still not mad. You can still tell me who you were, unknown person who said hello. And thank you for saying hello.
Well, did he have 2 Grenadiers?
That's a great question. I should have asked better questions. See, if you were there...
We'll go right to the heart of the matter.
In order of operation, 2 Grenadiers. Do you know where the NATO socket is? Well, what was the third one? I can't remember now. There's been a few.
Well, if he was British, that would be a dead giveaway.
Yeah, there weren't many, but there were some Antipodeans there.
The what?
Antipodeans.
Is that your way of saying the prisoner colony? What are you trying to say?
Oh, that's a low blow. Yeah, interesting take on things, but those guys were great.
fantastic couple, and they're local to me, so even better.
But for those people that don't know, just give it a little bit of background how we have an Australian Grenadier attending an event in Moab in the States.
It's magical, and the beauty of governments working together.
And it was powered by the fuel of Satan, diesel itself.
Yeah, the American fuel of Satan. The rest of the world loves it.
Oh, I can't stand the stuff. I never have. Don't like the fact that I have to go and wash my hands in the bathroom after fueling up every single time.
You fuel up your own vehicle?
I don't live in Jersey.
No.
Exactly.
Crab, you're the only one who gets to sit in the vehicle and smile. No gloves necessary.
Rain, snow, whatever. I just listen there.
He's like, what's that weird hose pipe that's hanging out the side of my car?
But I always have to tell the guy, don't overfill it, don't spill it. Like all the things that we would never do to our own vehicles, you have to be on the lookout for.
I wonder what the take-up rate is for, you see it on TV when people have driven off with a hose still inside of the car. I wonder how frequent that is in New Jersey. And if it happens on your watch, I hope you get fired.
Yeah, I can't imagine, unless you're fleeing from someone. You know what I mean? Like if you, as the owner of the vehicle, are about to be accosted in some manner, you just take off. But otherwise, I don't see how it could really happen.
Isn't that the whole premise of why Jersey requires the attendant to fuel is for safety reason, right?
I always was under the impression it was because it created jobs.
Oh, well, maybe that too.
That was always the reason I was under it. That's how it started. At least.
We could ask an Oregonian as well.
Oh, they just switched.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, we're the Lone Star now.
I want to know if it was a really close vote.
I don't know.
It was like 0.5% of the population or something.
I don't think it was a voter thing. I think it was just the government was finally like, all right, yeah, this is dumb. It's just
because it was only for gas, because diesel was still self-serve in Oregon.
Oh, I didn't know that. From the same. Do you know? By the way, again,
so it's an elitist thing as well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this. I mean, Stu, you might, but Annette, I don't know. So apparently, in Australia, they refer to the whole thing as a Bowser, like the term to describe all the pumps and stuff.
Like for Mario?
Well, but no, that's what I had to look it up. So the fuel Bowser, like the whole setup. So is that for diesel that's in the normal sort of setup you can do yourself, or only like the truck area diesel?
So the only times I've been in Oregon and getting fuel was in a gas vehicle, but the diesel pumps weren't integrated as the same pump. So like,
right.
I think Jersey's the same way, but here you can have one pump that has diesel on one side, gas on the other. You just grab a different handle.
Correct.
There, all the diesels were a separate pump.
Okay. So that makes sense then. Maybe that's why you could be that way for diesel.
But I got in trouble because we pulled into a gas station where the only other people getting fuel were diesel trucks. And I just jumped out and started filling my own fuel.
So why would you not know that?
Right. Why not?
What did they say to you?
That I
Do
wasn't
not
allowed
touch
to
that.
put my own gas.
Leave my nozzle alone.
Yeah. Yeah, put it back.
Yeah. Can't touch somebody else's nozzle.
No. There they go. The rails, they're gone.
Tumbleweed just came through again.
Anyway, so Moab, what else was the highlights? Let's get your take, Ann, because Stu already gave me his breakdown.
Record number of Grenadiers at a single gathering for a short amount of time.
Yeah, how many? Do you know the numbers?
110 or 112 or 113.
Depending on who you believe.
Depending on who you talk to and what day you talk to them.
And then quickly, the Germans got together and they were how many in number? Like 400?
But
no,
it's not German. I mean, it's like Europe.
Yeah, right.
It was in Germany. Let me rephrase
it was in
that.
Germany.
Okay.
I think they were in the 140s or 150s at least.
Oh,
and it was pretty fast afterwards, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Moab only beat the Germany meet by 2 vehicles, I think, and then Germany topped it by 30 plus.
But did Germany have one on portal axles?
Probably, given the fact that Litek is over there.
Oh, that's true. Because that should be worth at least 5 votes. That's a +5.
Just because it's 5 tall, so.
Yes. Which, I tell you, it looks like a toy. It really does.
That's why we driving around. We're referring to it as the cartoon truck.
Yeah.
It does look like a cartoon truck.
The proportions are unique.
Yeah. What size tires? What, 37s?
37s, yeah. 37, 1250s.
I think we should petition Hanna-Barbera to put it in Penelope pit stops.
No. What I keep saying is they need to make a Grenadier monster truck and put it in Monster Jam.
Ooh.
How exciting would that be?
I don't know if that is congruent with the target audience.
It will be, because the target audience are Monster Jam and 9-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Who grow up to be adult males that have a certain amount of money to buy then a fifth-hand Grenadier.
I now feel the need to open up Photoshop and make a Gravedigger Grenadier.
Could do that. Well,
that would definitely be a pickup truck with a hearse canopy bod on the back.
Some of the, like one of their biggest sponsors is actually JCB. What 9-year-old knows anything about JCB?
You didn't grow up in the UK.
Equipment.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You didn't grow up in the UK.
Oh, okay.
JCB is the same as Caterpillar. I mean, it's everywhere. A construction site, and if you go to a construction site, you've got 2 young kids and 3 old men all standing there commenting on how the guy digging the hole is doing it incorrectly. And he'll be driving a JCB. And he'll have 5 friends leaning on shovels, telling him that he's digging the hole wrong.
And it's the same color as Cat, right? JCB's yellow.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Yeah, almost the same. Who makes JCB's engines?
I want to say themselves.
Oh.
But pop quiz, you're going to have to.
From learning YouTube videos, put it in the comments, people. Somebody knows this.
Well, yeah, everybody knows what we do. That's
right, of course.
The show.
Let's ask ChatGPT.
JCB holds the current record for the world's fastest tractor.
That thing's insane. It does like 100-something miles an hour.
135.19 miles per hour with a top speed of 153.7.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, with a 72-inch slicks. They make their own engines, but they used to use Perkins and Cummins back in the day. They've been producing their own engines since 2004.
Current supplier is AGCO. Interesting. Everybody loves a construction site.
Especially young children and old men.
Yeah, pretty much. I think middle-aged men, too. That stuff's just cool. It just is.
There's a reason you can go and play with construction equipment for a small fee now.
I mean, like an amusement park.
Yeah, but it's just nothing but construction equipment.
It's Digger World in Vegas.
Yeah, you're right. Digger World.
That is what it's called.
Yeah.
No, it's...
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, yeah, I've heard of
Digger World.
But I don't know if it's for adults. Is it for adults? I thought it was more like a kids theme park.
With enough money, everything's for adults.
This is very true. So Utah was good.
Utah was good.
What was the tastiest thing that I missed out on?
Oh, that Thai food.
There's Thai food?
There's a very good Thai restaurant.
Really? Okay, that seems unlikely.
And the French cafe.
Oh, yes.
That's to anybody that goes, make sure you go there.
And then how was your drive? You had many, many miles to get out there.
Drive was relaxing. Like every long distance drive, just cruising along.
Yeah.
Did it in 2.5 days in each direction from the East Coast to Utah.
So on that journey, what was the Grenadier to Cybertruck ratio on the freeway?
Oh.
You said you didn't encounter any other Grenadiers, right?
I saw on the way out, I passed one Grenadier in Omaha, Nebraska that was going the other way. And then once I hit Grand Junction, Colorado, so the last hour and a half of the drive, I saw 3. So I don't count those because they were all going to the same place. The drive home encountered 0 Grenadiers, and overall out and back at least 40 Cybertrucks, 30 Cybertrucks, many of which were in downtown Denver.
And the owners of those, did they have... It's a binary look they have on their face. It's either the happiest dog in the world or the most embarrassed dog in the world. It's like, don't look at me while I'm doing this. There's no in between.
Yeah. So many of them have a dark colored wrap. I don't understand why there aren't bright color wraps. Aren't a big fan.
There's a pink one rolling around near me, and one that's, I'm swear it's Land Rover Fuji white.
We have an orange one, like a neon orange one around us, a highlighter green, and then more matte black Cybertrucks than I can count.
We don't have any around here. I'll never see. I saw one, and it was the, like our school district was having a bunch of work done, and there's an outside company, and the guy who was in charge of that had one. So it'd show up every now and again at school. But I want to say, thankfully, don't see them. I think they're hideous.
Yeah, I can tell you why you don't see them. They're all waiting at the Tesla superchargers, waiting for somebody else to come and plug them in.
Oh, that's a good question.
They've run out of juice now.
I don't know if you can plug in your own.
There has to be a guy that just stands at the empty Tesla chargers all day waiting.
I'll have to look into that.
Does he have a little hut like around the corner and like, ding ding, got to run out real quick?
The hut's in the middle. And they all have it. They all have little huts.
Do they?
Yes. A lot of the bigger stations, like, and Ann would know this, but there's a very large chain of convenience stores / gas stations in the East Coast called Wawa. And
it's called what?
Wawa.
Wawa. W-A-W-A.
W-A. Yeah. So
I'll tell you the background in a second.
At their forecourts or Bowsers, there's usually two little glass huts, little things where there's a cash register in there. They can wait in there. It's a little heater, a little AC thing. And that's where they hang out when they're in between jobs.
What happens when the game's on? It's like, I'll be there in a minute, sunshine. And you're like 20 minutes later, you're waiting for your fuel.
I think that they also pump in sound. So like there's speakers and stuff you can hear. The music they play in the store and stuff, you can hear outside.
Are they allowed to put fuel in yours and have the little clip on and then go and serve somebody else? Or do they have to stand next to you?
Nope. They'll have like 6 cars going at once.
Yeah. They'll run around and click all the pumps on, and then you're stuck sitting in the car waiting for them to come back around to unhook you.
And you have to hope the first clunk that turns off is you. Like
so they multitask.
When it goes off, you have to hope that the guy heard it.
Yeah. And then they come around and give you a couple more clicks just for good measure.
Oh, that sounds like the self-service checkout in the supermarket. You're waiting because the barcode doesn't work. The little lights flash and yeah. Oh no. I don't know if I want to go to New Jersey.
Oh, a beautiful place.
But it's the kind of place that only the strong survive.
Can we drive through on 1 tank of gas? That's all I need to know.
Yes.
Well,
depending on which way you go.
Yeah, I was going to say I live at the beach, so yeah.
And how much traffic you hit.
But look, New Jersey gets a bad rap.
But you're not even in real Jersey, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So there's a couple really unpleasant urban clumps.
Is that where the new NES headquarters are?
Yes.
That's a bit swanky. That's a bit swankier. But once you get outside of those few horrible urban clumps, I mean, honestly, we have it all. We have farmland, we have beaches, we have mountains. It's really a great state, except for kind of that chunk in the upper right.
Where the new headquarters is, you have to transit through the areas you don't want to experience to get to it.
Well, depending on if you're coming east or west. Coming from the west, that's not the case.
You're right. Yeah. Then you just come down the hill and you're in a beautiful land.
It's absolutely
unless you miss your exit, and then you're screwed.
Well, you're always fooled for that.
Yeah.
But so where the new headquarters is, so if you were from New Jersey.
Is it where they filmed The Sopranos?
No. Well, that's more.
Oh, man. My dreams are being dashed. One cut at a time.
Yeah, but I could tell you where that stuff is. But if you went to the drive event, the closest one that NEOS put on was in New York State. And you had to basically drive through Paramus and that surrounding area where the new headquarters is to get there.
Oh, so they're in Paramus?
It's by Paramus.
Yeah, that's where I used to buy the Land Rover bits from. They're the cheapest in the country.
The big
Mawa? Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there.
Is that the sister company to the gas station chain?
No. Oh, so Wawa, the meaning of Wawa is in the Ojibwe native language, it means wild goose. So if you travel to the town of Wawa in Ontario, Canada, there is a giant wild goose.
That is something that I never thought I would be told. What a cool stat. So we need to tell Brian at Goose Gear. It should do a Wawa edition.
Collaborate.
That'd be cool.
The new headquarters is actually in Montvale, New Jersey.
Oh, that sounds a bit posh for me.
It is posh.
And we established last time that we think that they're just going to put 2 feet of mud in the parking lot. That way everybody has to come in, drive in with Grenadiers.
And it is about 10 miles from Paramus. So it's right there. And Paramus is a swanky car town. I mean,
it is where every dealer is.
Yeah, you name it. Every manufacturer has a dealer there, just about, it seems. When you drive through that main drag and you can see everything. See the Lambo dealership, see the Ferrari dealership. seated rolls dealership. So it's pretty swanky drive.
All vehicles I'll never own.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. I can't wait to go.
It would be more likely that I would own a Lamborghini tractor before I do a Lamborghini car.
Speaking of tractors, and for our listener, this is how we pull everything back together. This has been a bit rambly today. It's a new article in Fleet News in the UK, and it's talking about Ineos starting to push the fleet sales. It's really interesting thing is it actually references the MOD, which is the equivalent to the Pentagon or Department of Defense, and the whole chassis cab versions, where before they'd only said that they were going to sell them in Australia. So now they're referencing, and obviously this is somebody else's reporting, that they're going to be selling that in the UK. And one of the attractive things is it can go out to the forestry or the telecoms people or whatever. They put whatever pod they need on the back and then just take it off when they're done flogging it to almost death, and then sell it on as a viable vehicle for the next happy owner. How cool is that?
I mean, we've talked about this before, the connection to Land Rover and all that. But I can remember looking through print advertising and commercial advertisements for Land Rover in the mid to late 50s, early 60s, about how there's 50 million versions of the Land Rover. And it's one that the telecom company would use with the bucket truck. And there was one that the forest fire used. There was one that... So if that's the sort of path they're taking, it obviously has some precedent just from a different company.
Absolutely. And the Monaco Grand Prix, they had a Grenadier fire engine there.
Yeah, I saw in the background. I did a screenshot, but somebody had already done it on the
super cool. That's the sort of stuff that will turn heads. But I'm just looking at the picture now of one with the chassis cab, and from behind, because of how they've done the rear bumpers and everything. Do you remember that movie Batteries Not Included? The little
yeah.
Anand? No,
80s movie.
No.
It looks like one of those. It looks like the baby one that gets squished from behind.
I've looked this up now.
The tail lights look like eyes on this little robot, and I'm casting my hazy mind back probably 30 years now, and I'm like, he nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. So not only do we have a Doors fan that does the infotainment and the software writing, we've got one of the designers was heavily influenced by a Disney movie from the mid-80s.
I can never unsee that now.
It's put a smile on my face. It's so cool. I hope to see one. We need to get some stickers made up just when we see it. Batteries not included, the Ineos forum.
Or 2 batteries included. Oh, no, not 2 batteries included.
One's already one down. Yeah, that's actually a really good thing. So we branched on this last week, and we said about options that are going to get taken away to streamline production and to make it cheaper. What's your thought on the battery, Anand?
My thought is that better aftermarket alternatives exist in a sense where you get a true dual battery setup and not a second battery whose sole purpose in life is to trickle charge a primary battery.
Yeah, it's like a cascading booster system, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to a more traditional house battery setup where all your
where they're isolated and everything. I mean, it's the factory dual battery setup it's a weird hybrid mix between a domestic diesel truck that has 2 batteries in parallel for cranking power and for power in general, and traditional overland dual battery setup where you have a separated, isolated house battery and a chassis battery.
Do you think, I mean, I don't think anybody in the aftermarket has, but I mean, you're much more familiar with that sort of stuff. How difficult, or do you think someone will come out with a package that will convert the factory setup from Ineos and come up with a package that you could buy and kind of do yourself that would then sort of convert it into a more traditional 2 battery setup?
And keep the standard the physical batteries themselves, keep those as they are. All you'd have to do is replace the isolator and change some wiring around. It would be a 20-minute install in 2 parts.
But it would still able to be charged from the alternator.
Correct, yeah.
Because I'm surprised, like, I don't, coming into this, I didn't know much about dual battery systems.
Yeah. Did you get one installed?
From the factory, yes.
Yeah, sorry, I should know this, but...
Yeah, I have a trial master.
But I know that you don't have Safari windows, and that was a A massive oversight on your part.
No, it's not.
Yes,
Talking
it
to
is.
people who have leaking problems with theirs that you may not have.
They live in the wrong part of the world.
Yeah, because
These are not the windows you're looking for.
I am not a traditional sunroof person as it is, and then I have the high load switches and all that right next to where those windows would be. It just seems like a bad idea.
I told you it's sports car DNA. It's shared. It's commonality with a Pagani Utopia. And last time I said it was Huayra, and I got it totally wrong.
Well, I'm sure somebody will.
It's the more expensive version.
Yeah, somebody will get us in the comments.
And you could remake the first Fast and Furious where he blows the T-top off the Supra. Excuse me, the target top off the Supra.
What year did that movie come out? 2001. That's the last time I saw that.
So, it holds up. It holds up. So, as we're talking about performance, and you raise the Fast and the Furious, that some people are starting to do stuff to make them go quicker. And I'm not talking about the special versions that Ineos have been, sent away to their special lab to drop in a oversized American grumbly engine. We're talking about chipping and piggyback chips and stuff. And those are starting to hit the market now. Really interesting things.
Gaining a good bit of popularity at the same time.
I still get hung up. I'm sorry.
There's also there's Titan in Florida who have an aftermarket intake manifold and some other bits and bobs on theirs. Then there's a shop in Colorado that I believe is already, at this point, will be big turbo, fueling is in place with all the horsepower numbers that approach 1,000.
What?
That's very aspirational.
Like, see, that's where I get hung up. I mean, now, okay, sure, ZF may underrate, the numbers that the transmission can handle. 400 horsepower is what? Over 100 horsepower more than they say it can do? It's like 25%. Same thing with the torque, right? It's almost at the end of the torque number as it is.
Yeah, but technically the transmission is torque rated, not horsepower rated.
Okay. All right. Well, it's at that end anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
And we've been told more than once by people that really know this stuff that it's massively conservative with the torque rating on the transmission itself.
But that's why you wait for somebody else to blow theirs up.
Yeah, but what an experience that. Can you imagine putting 1,000 horsepower down through some KO2, KO3s? That's insane.
I'd be curious to know. I mean, we still know so little about Carraro axles, right? Just no one knows it. But I'm curious if the rear end could handle that. Like, is it that tough?
That CD joint won't, I can tell you that much.
We know more about it now. Agile just procured a set of axles, both locked and not locked, and completely disassembled them to figure out ring and pinion sizing and everything else related to it.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Only on the social medias.
Oh yeah.
That was earlier this week. So it's roughly Dana 44 sized.
So outrageously expensive gearing is on the way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
because that obviously was a thing. It's like at some point people will want to re-gear these, and one company has to do the legwork. I'm just glad that somebody's putting in. It's as we talked about last week. These companies go in with an idea and running it. Okay, it might cost a lot more to start with, but at least they're doing the stuff rather than just leaving it and going, oh, it's too hard. So kudos to everybody that's trying this.
But you know what? if we always have, you think way back, you had the elevator pitch, right? So if I was in an elevator with Sir Jim, I want to ask him, why did you go with Carraro axles? Because I have a theory. Stu, I know you have a theory, but I would love to sort of hear it from the proverbial horse.
Or does he step back and say, Magna, whatever you want to do, put in it?
Perhaps. Okay, but ultimately then, whoever made that decision, why was that decision?
It could be something as simple as Carraro axles are on Jim's tractor on one of his estates that he likes driving. It's like, that thing's never broken down.
Could be. I'm very curious.
On the other side of that, it could be the military grade aspect, where military grade really equates to lowest bidder.
Plus 10%.
Plus 10%.
I'm curious. I am. We all could probably sit down for hours asking those kind of questions. Why did you do this? Or how come you did it this way? And I don't know if anybody could really answer all of it, but...
Well, there are people that can answer it. And hopefully one day we'll be allowed to... It'll be made available that we can actually sit down and have these conversations to find out why things were done and leave no stone unturned.
Yeah.
If you made a decision during the build process and you're listening to this podcast,
feel free to chime in.
Say something, even anonymously.
Our fan didn't work for Magna or any else. He's a
That's
Land Rover
2020
guy that doesn't have a Grenadier.
It's 2025. There might be a second fan.
Oh, that's right. And people do change jobs.
Yeah.
Well, wait, let's just spin all the way back. And Ed, you went to the factory, didn't you?
I did.
Tell us about that. I forgot all about that.
It's massive. It's huge. It's in the shape of a giant cross, and with 4 separate wings, and the vehicle follows the perimeter through all 4 wings.
Really?
It's massive. That's the assembly process. It goes through 4 separate wings.
Everything is... no components are built there? It's just assembly?
It's assembly, correct. So, if I'm not mistaken, body stamping occurs. Body stamping was the one side we didn't see. We saw from the paint shop through to completion and any touch-ups after the fact.
That you mentioned the paint shop. I just want to say thank you. And I'm really sorry to the poor squad that as some people may know and some don't. I've got a contrasting white roof to the Eldorette blue, and the vehicles are painted, and then that brand new paint is basically rubbed back down and then repainted. So I'm glad that I took that option, but I feel really sorry for the people that did it. So thank you very much for making that happen. And I still hold that Ineos lose money on every contrasting roof.
100% agree.
The amount of labor that has to go into that. And like, you would almost think that, yes, like masking takes time. That's a time consuming thing. But they're going to have to do that either way. So why not just mask it the first time and not paint it, as opposed to having to mask it twice and remove all the paint? You know what I mean?
And that the second spray, where it's just the roof being painted and technically the 2 spots on the radiator support where the masking stops, but that takes the same spray time as the whole vehicle to keep the timing correct for production.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Sometimes I say this about lots of things, but great idea, maybe not the greatest execution in terms of that. I'm surprised it just didn't at some point become a wrap. Just say, we'll vinyl it for you.
So what I was told when I picked mine up down at Regal is that they had issues with the wrap staying on the roof for several customers by having local wrap places attempt to wrap the roof.
That's interesting.
Well, it's cheaper to get them to do that than it is to get the factory one. So do we think this is one of those factory options that's going to go the way of the Dodo, the same as the battery?
It wouldn't surprise me. I'm surprised it's lasted this long.
But let me counter that and say it would surprise me in this sense. There are other vehicles out there that offer a contrasting roof. And given it's even though it has no heritage, because it's 2 years old, it's part of the heritage of that look of old school SUVs where the white top was functional. It was to keep heat, to reduce heat. I mean,
that's why I got it.
That's why I got it.
A Santorini black Land Rover, which sits in California sun baking you slowly. No way. It's like, I want a light colored vehicle.
Right. Yeah. And that was the whole... Right, and that's where it comes from. I mean, obviously the old Land Rovers, the old Land Cruisers, the old Patrols, that was the thing. And now when you look at vehicles, even like, and I think I told you, Stu, I mean, I did. Our neighbor right across the street got a brand new Bronco with the white top package.
It looks cool.
So it does. It's a great looking truck. So even though maybe Ineos would come up with a more cost-effective way of making it happen, but I don't see them dropping that because it's a unique thing. And it makes the vehicle stand out.
So here's a question:
with the darker colors.
Lexus GX also available with a contrast roof. Contrast roof, I just built one real quick. Adds $350. How are they doing it for 350? What's different?
What color's the roof? Is
Black.
yeah, but with what's the complimentary one? Is it so repulsive that you would never ever order it?
It's available with pretty much every color option you can get a black roof.
Oh,
Do they have
black.
a white roof option?
Yeah, if you buy the rest of the vehicle in white, you can get the roof in white.
Oh, that's nice of them. Yeah.
But wait, okay, so wait though, black, they can paint on top of. Like, let's say you got a dark blue, right? A Britannia blue. It would take 1 billion coats of white paint without removing the original paint. If it's black going on any color, I guess you could just stuff it and go over it, right?
Yeah, or a robot could scuff it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Are we formally saying that Lexus are taking shortcuts on finished body panel work?
No,
Let's go there. Come on, let's go. Let's go there. And while we're at it, let's talk about Maybach as well. I'm pretty sure you can get a contrasting roof with those.
That's a little different.
Different price point.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, maybe not. A LaTeX?
Or the Arcane Works Detour. Same thing.
It's clipping on, isn't it? The price is getting up there.
I mean, at least at the time of this recording, the LaTeX pricing hasn't been released. Maybe it will later, but
This is true.
I have my suspicions.
It's not going to be cheap.
No.
And that's where, and again, it comes all the way back to a very lengthy conversation that I had with my brother at the New York Drive event on the way. And it's a question that seems to be going up and down with who is our target customer? Is the target customer the person who's going to take their truck, get it a little dirty, take it in the woods, get it a little scratched? Or is it someone who wants to spend $160,000 for super plush interior? Like, who are they selling to? May the three of us fall into one of those categories.
Yes.
Not the other.
You know, I think that just with a target audience, it's all of the above. It's like, quite frankly, at this point, whoever they can sell it to. Because there was a massive push to get people like us. Then there was a perceived abandonment of that, which was pretty well documented with, we need to take this brand up market, etc., etc. And now there seems to be a little bit of a walk back.
Yeah.
Probably justifiably so, because there's definitely some abandonment feeling from that.
It wouldn't take you all but about 3 keystrokes to find 80 threads on it, at least in our world. And I assume that extends to the Facebook groups too. But I've said this, and Stu and I have really had this conversation in the past, but like, it's not going to take too much, I think, to get people back if they're genuine in their re-embracing sort of the community that put their hands on first. And that's not to say that there's not room for a super posh $150,000 version, but you can't just throw away. Like, the whole reason the project exists was not to recreate a super posh. Also, the Range Rover exists. It does a really good job of that. But Sir Jim's vision was to replace a different kind of vehicle that lost its place in the market. So it doesn't really make sense from the original, this is our plan.
But where does the plan go from here?
So that's the question that we can pose to everybody that's listening here right now, as we have to draw this session to an end. What is your opinion? Answers on the postcards, please.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. As they say, watch this space.
Yes.
Well, our fan will know when we tell them.
Or 2025.
I mean, considering the viewership's that thin, we should just get on the phone and talk to them for an hour until they hang up.
They just do FaceTime.